Hello. I'm here to practice doing DPS. Where is... Yikes. Should have cars on later, but... Don't know for sure. Shadow Labs. My quest log has Shafar's something or another. Hello. I'm in my Space Commander. I'm wearing my Space Commander headset. This is where I conduct my Space Command. My Space Command, right? Yeah, remember the MySpace? Oh, remember the MySpace? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I guess they're gonna make a big deal about him. How much of this though, like, when they say like, well, you can't really blah blah blah, you aren't allowed to do this, that, and the other thing. You're like, at what point in time does everybody know that you wish it weren't this way, but it is, but you see the stock market's at like a all-time high, like over and over again, right? And there's no way to entice the stock market people into purchasing crypto if crypto's in such a sorry state, right? So you see all this like fudding and like virtue signaling, fudding, this, that, and the other thing. I mean, I'm sure there's some real kind of like real risk and everything that goes on with that kind of thing, right? Unfortunately, I'm sure, right? Uh, but still, like you would think, how much of that is done because you're not going to entice uh, where currently where the real money is, right? The stock market, it seems, right? Relative, uh, which even just a percentage or a few percentages of readjusting towards something else or whatever, reallocating rather, means a whole shitload of market cap for cryptocurrency, right? So you hate to see that there's all these like, what a time, right? Someone's like, well, this isn't good for crypto. The guy from MicroStrategy or whatever, the CEO or whatever, the other guy, filing an intent to sell, like, I guess to them probably a drop in the hat as far as wealth is concerned. I guess maybe the CEO, maybe not as much, whatever. But the thing is it's that time. That's all. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I don't know a whole lot about how all of that works, so I'm not trying to pretend to be an expert. But it seems like, well, what a strange time. We have the Zcash thing, which was likely a tabled discussion for months before knowing about the exploit. When is the time to let the okay? Well, the whole market's kind of in a slump. Where you're most likely to be forgiven for something like that is when it's down low and not when it's up high. Like Zcash, whatever the fucking market cap right now is, 5-10x, I guess, without giving like a whatever, wouldn't surprise me. At some point in time. Yeah, that's a much larger number to lose half of your fucking market cap whenever the thing's worth 10 times as much as it is currently, right? So it's like you definitely don't want to have, like the idea that like get this out of the way kind of thing, get this fucking messy business done so we can get on with the show. Um, that being said, Michael Saylor selling a portion of a Bitcoin, right, like a fragment, right, of a Bitcoin, and then the other guy filing to sell shares, like as far as I know, these guys throw around like way more than that. So it's not necessarily, in my mind, I guess it's like, yeah, it's as much fun as it can be, I guess. But what does it actually amount to as far as like where any actual concern is? Like, don't get me wrong, like I'm sure there is real concern with all this shit, but how much more of it is just it's that time, right? And it's like we wish it weren't whatever growing pains and all that stuff. Like, look, you're looking at a guy who's got to sell his fucking only mode of transportation here soon, and it's just that time is all. That's the risk I said I was willing to take. And right, we all have our own struggles, right? That was kind of the thing I was saying the other day. Like, I'm like going through all this shit personally, right? And I'm like, well, I'm not going through it alone. You know what I mean? The fact of the matter is, if you're at that point in time where you're so fat and comfortable that you aren't at least suffering at least a little bit through all this, come on now, then you're probably too comfortable. Maybe too fat. I don't really know. Depends on how many plane tickets they make you pay for, I guess. Evil hordes. But the thing I was gonna say is like so things I compare myself to, you know, for what it's worth. People that I admire and aspire to try and at least mimic, if not incorporate, some of what they do as far as how I conduct myself, right? I'm sitting there thinking like, yeah, I'm like, man, relative wealth. I'm like, you know, it's a really kind of a shitty thing to say, and this isn't well me saying it, but you know the play the fucking put a different hat on and what the other hat wearing guy would say like, yeah, oh, you know, that the typical, oh, eat the rich kind of mentality. Oh, well, Mark Zuckerberg, right? Oh, what does he care? $80 billion is nothing to him. You're like, yeah, well, what's not considered is that that's not just him. You know what I mean? Those are like people that put food on their families' plates because of that, right? So, like, yeah, it might not necessarily be like, oh, he's not worried about being homeless or anything, and really nobody is, right? But um, the thing is that it's like we all have our struggles, right? And I can imagine a person like him, like that really fucking. He seems like a guy who wears his heart on his sleeve about stuff. I'm sure he's the last person on earth that either wants to have to fire anybody, or that has to want to restructure any sort of part of his company. You know what I mean? And so it's like the kind of I don't want to say like socialist, but kind of like I guess kind of like Marxist moronic kind of thing to say like, oh, what does it matter to him? He's so rich. What does it matter? You're like, yeah, that's not the point though. Like, the guy probably cares more about winning than he does being rich, right? So everybody's taking it on the chin right now. You know, I'm not the only one. He's not the only one. Michael Saylor, like, if you're comfortable through all of this, and you're probably too fat and too comfortable, more than likely, is kind of the point I'm trying to make. Because this is a time where pretty much anybody should be at least worried for, if not themselves, some of their constituents or their people that they represent or that depend on them, right? So that's kind of my marching forward statements here, you know, and like really minor inconvenience for me what I'm going through, but I still like, you know, it's just messy business sometimes, but it's worth it, you know. I did sign up for it, um, so I try to be as true to self with it. You know, he's not the like, oh, also Jack having to fire a bunch of people from Cash App and Square and all that stuff or whatever. You know, everybody's had to go through something here recently. I think that's not to say it's good, but I mean, in reality, you're like, yeah, we're all really kind of going through this fucking shitstorm together, and it really does separate who's here for the right reasons, who's here um, for the right reasons, right? I mean, everybody is at least if they aren't directly affected by something, somebody they know is, and like it's just the way things are sometimes. And it's a good thing. I really do think about like what you consider to be like a decentralized team building exercise. The fact that everybody in crypto and everybody in tech is sort of disjointly suffering together um, is I think a good thing, a good team building exercise. You know, like because really I hate to be what are you blood on the mouth fucking whatever about it, but really though you do really want the guys that can get shit done to be at the top and to make shit happen, and the people that jump ship the first time things get tough are not the people that should be there. And I'm not necessarily a cutthroat when it comes to like my philosophy and life or anything, and I can't even say business because I don't even know what that's like yet, you know. But I can't say that I'm a cutthroat per se, but the idea that um, you don't want a bunch of people, you don't want a bunch of sheep running the show. You really don't. You know what I mean? So it's good to see that there are still some struggles, right? As much as you wish that there weren't, right? Like, oh, it's all about my struggle, right? Yeah, my struggle, right, guys? Right, guys? Right. But that's kind of the thing from this day, you know, like If you found somebody like that went through all this and really just did not have a hardship to make it in life, I'm like, you have to question how the fuck they did it and if they did it the right way. You know what I mean? Like, other than inheriting your wealth from a relative or something, I can't imagine how you would acquire it without struggling, right? And nothing worth building is built by accident. You know what I mean? That's why people don't live in caves, right? But we'll figure this all out. No, and I bitch and complain. I'm a human, and this is like my outlet. I don't do this to other people, but like you have to understand, I've been doing this for 8 years now without a single person to talk to, all by myself. The law coming down on me, people trying to frame me, people trying to set me up, people trying to get me hurt, a whole bunch of shit, like nightmare after nightmare after nightmare. And I'm just like, take it in stride, right? This is what they've always done to me. You know what I mean? Just keep doing what you're doing because I know I'm right, right? So. Uh, it's been tough, man. So for me to bitch, I guess as much as I do, I would imagine it's probably not so much that you would say like I consider this my outlet to like. If you're hearing my voice right now, you are a personal friend of mine. These are not things that I would tell people normally. These aren't the things I would normally complain about to others, or at least not publicly, right? Which I feel like I've probably got 0 to 5, if all viewers ever, you know what I mean, and that know me. So it's not like I'm sitting here a breach of trust or anything with anyone. But you know, life is full of this kind of thing, and my public facing persona for I say this shit like it matters right now. It really doesn't, but is slightly different than what I would tell a friend, obviously, and I think that's honest with anybody being honest with themselves, really. But that's kind of how I'm looking at it. Fact of the matter is, no, these people depend on those people, and you might think that their game is all about accumulating as much wealth as possible, but I mean, um, how meticulous and vicious some of these people might be, it's like it still hurts their feelings whenever they've got to tell somebody that they've got to go. You know, I don't care. Like, I doubt any of these people get off on like just ruining people's lives or telling them that they're fired or you know what I mean, or are seeing things that they really are passionate and care about not succeed the way that they thought it was going to. Like, that probably really bothers some people, you know what I mean? So I'm certainly not in this alone, for sure, you know what I mean? So I'm not trying to give off the impression that I felt that way either, just, you know, disjointed trust exercises. And it's going to be helpful because you're going to sit there and go, man, we really did walk this path all together. Not one of us said a word to each other. How the fuck is that possible? Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't see how it is possible. No one would believe it if you told them. So, um, yeah, so good for us. Everybody in tech and everybody in crypto that's going to stick through this and see it do what it needs to do. I use those guys as examples because those are people that even a stranger to me would also know, right? I'm sure I've got more close examples of people in my own life going through that kind of thing but you're like, who the fuck is this Jerry guy that you keep talking about? The imaginary guy. Oh, fuck me running. Who's this fucking Jerry guy? Can we summon our teammate here before you guys keep attacking us? Yeah, that guy wasn't trying to be a dick or nothing. Blazing Blood Elf Tower, like, can you leave the battleground you're in? You guys sitting in a fucking Warsong Gulch. We're sitting here trying to do an instance. What are you doing? Get the fuck out of there. Eye of the Storm. I'm like, why is he grayed out with a fucking 2 fucking bars full of raid debuffs? How'd that guy die? He just fell to the floor, didn't he? You fucking serious? Battle res that guy, and he can. What do you improve? What are you counterspelling? God damn it! At least we all got here. Was he proof counterspelling, regular counterspelling, whatever? So, right. Not to mention, like, and when you're doing it with other people's money too, you can imagine that might be something that's like a type of stress that I'm not familiar with. You know what I mean? So, your desire to succeed or your drive to succeed is probably compounded even more so if you're doing it with somebody else's money, because it's like, well, I don't mind if I go broke because, you know, whatever, but somebody else, you know, suddenly you have more of an obligation, you know, like, and I'm the type of person, better or worse, that always feels more of an obligation to perform or to do well for somebody else's sake than my own. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, whether or not that's a people pleaser's mentality or not, but I also think it's like, depending on what degree variance from just wanting to be helpful to forgetting about yourself entirely to help others, you're like, yeah, there's a healthy middle there somewhere that allows you to prove yourself and also take care of yourself, you know, without having to bend over backwards for people that don't deserve it, right? And I'm a person that's unfortunately all too familiar with, not to say being a sucker, but like bending over backwards for people thinking that they were going to be as true as that I was about the thing, right? And that they were going to be as dedicated or as resolute as I was trying to be. But some people, that's not their intention, right? It's like, well, you can't call me fucking stupid for it. You can't really call me a sucker for it, for you not being honest, can you? Really? If you want to, I mean, if you want to make it through life being that guy, go ask the last 4 or 5 of them that did that to me and see what happened. That's about all there is to it. So, and more to come too. I know for a fact more to come. So, yeah. So just keep doing what you're doing. I don't claim to be the smartest person ever or anything, really. I've got a lot to learn, and I know that. But I will learn it. These are things that I can't learn from where I'm at currently. And the thing is that I get the impression that these are things that everybody wants me to learn as well, and they know. Like, for me to go right now and try and print out a resume and hand it to somebody, like, this is not something that is going. That's why I've had to just play this long game, basically, and really position myself and do my part, even if it meant losing everything, because I'm not going to be, like, trial and error. Like, I already know. I've gone through it. I'm not going to be given the time of day, period, through traditional means or modes or methods or whatever. Like, I've got to do the shit the way that basically, the way I need to do it, basically. The other way has not worked once in the past, and I've been trying for a while now. And that's super duper unfortunate, but so I know you people all wish that it weren't that way, right? But I'm sure you are familiar with some of the hiring practices at most, if not all, like major corporations that do this kind of thing. Yeah, it's difficult to say the least, right? Like it's a rarity for a grocery store to say, well, our normal human resources policy doesn't allow us to hire people like you. We called the higher ups, or no, it was a furniture store, right? And they made an exception. I'm like, this was like we've never seen this before at a furniture store. You know what I mean? I'm like, I can only imagine the type of treatment I would get elsewhere, and I have tried. Trust me, and it's always more excuses than it is the truth. So I've got to do it this. I've got to come up with my own way of doing it, and that sucks because it's expensive and it sucks sometimes, but it takes forever. But like I said, we have 2 druids, and this guy's done more healing dead than alive. Bargoso, what's his name? Barba Serginio. As long as I get, if I get innervates on bosses, that'd be great. But I'm having some, and you guys go like, and I know you probably would say, if only we could do what you were able to do. I get that, but I wish I had better control of it. But the dreams I've been having lately are very fucking promising, dude. They are very good. Some of the shit is like really like, I don't even like. I wake up so excited, you have no clue how good the news is about some of this shit, and that's the only way I have, really. And I know you might say, like, isn't that like some kind of like new agey, like retard philosophy? I'm like, if only you knew how accurate it's been in the past, right? Um, so I'm sticking to that. That's like my go-to optimism. Like where sometimes I go to sleep and I see something in a dream, and then the very next day it happens, right? You're like, yeah, so it's not to just basically be tossed in the trash. It's certainly not always the 100% how things are, but it's been uh, pretty consistent here lately. Like if you ever get to spend time with me, I'll go to sleep, right? I will tell you what I dreamed of. We'll go in the other room so no one's being spied on. We'll go up wherever, and I'll tell you what I had a dream of, and I'll ask you to scroll through your phone and tell me what you see. And I swear to God, you'll see exactly what it is that I just described to a T. It happened again this morning, like 2 or 3 different things every day now. It's pretty crazy. Like I'll put a stack of money on it, right? Like a pretty big stack of money on it that I can prove to you that I'm at least somewhat psychic, right? On a pretty consistent basis. Now I wish I had more control over it. Like I wish I could just tell you what the lottery numbers are, but that's only ever happened once before, right? Why'd we wipe? Right. Yeah, I didn't know we were gonna wipe there either. Oh, we got a Pat Barbagoso. Right. It's like I look. That's the thing. Is I keep that kind of thing to myself because not that I'm basing my decisions on that kind of thing. I'm just saying it's not to be ignored on my in my day to day life. Right. Kind of hungry. So really though, like, is it better to swap to the damage you think about, like swapping from mage armor to molten armor during innervate? Is that possible? Like if you had two innervates, that would be 30 seconds where you would have 3%. Yeah, I don't really know. I don't know if the thing's like, is a 3% crit less damage than the, whatever. But doesn't change the fact that I'm not really getting an innervate from anybody. But Pat's a zombie now. I still don't know if iQuag's better or not. I've yet to really be able to put together a group that has like all the buffs and stuff that I need to determine. We have two druids running around in bear right now. What the fuck is going on? Is that meant to get us out of here quicker? Ah, oh no, what are we gonna do? Both of our guys, come on now. For fuck's sakes. Do we have a... I need to... Hold on a second. God damn it. I think it's more damage when that happens, like all those spell haste procs to do arcane blast and frostbolt and arcane blast and frostbolt, right? Where's the which guys are tank druid and which ones are... These guys are in walrus form. Really? Anyway. So it's tough and it's shitty, but it's the best thing ever, so it's worth it. Come on now. I'm not even doing anything. We have 2 tanks and a 2 fucking tanks. Why are we doing this? We have 2 feral druids. Retarded. 2 tank of 5 man. Good God. Really? Did not reduce my aggro. That's lemon water. Barbagosa. Golly. Days like today are like, whether can they make coffee plus? Is there a thing called coffee plus? In all honesty, I might make it like instant coffee that has like an amino acid or something that's like coffee but with just a little bit more, you know what I mean? Just coffee plus, coffee 2.0. It's coffee but with just a little bit more, not more caffeine, but like whatever one of the, I guess they do that with the energy drinks and all that stuff, but I drink instant coffee because it's what I'm used to, but I don't drink it for the flavor. But the thing would be like coffee plus, right? Coffee, but with one of these amino acids, which I do have a thing of branched chain amino acids too, but something that gives you energy that's not just caffeine, right? Not taurine or gaurine or all that other shit they put in monsters and all that. I guess they do already make this, don't they? That's like those 5 hour energies or whatever. Yeah, I really just drink coffee, but like, you know what I mean. How about an additive? You add it to your coffee, like a Mio bottle. It's called Coffee Plus, right? Shark Tank. Dix at sharktank.com. How much money? Give me for this idea. Give me for this idea. Coffee Plus. It's like a Mio bottle. You put in your coffee, and it's got amino acids, and it's called Coffee Plus. Right? Remember? That's my fault. I didn't see the X there. The number I saw in my dream earlier was 90.3. I don't know if it's significant to anybody, but is that number significant to you? I had a dream about it earlier. A million crits, guy. Fuck. I knew that was going to happen. 63% chance to crit on 11 hits, yeah. That's a statistical anomaly for sure. He's got himself. Oh, I thought he had a flask popped. He's got an agility potion. Yeah, I hope we do cars on tonight. I need a lightning capacitor. That's like low fucking just kind of hanging out with the guys, you know. Gives me something to do, and because this last week's been hellacious, right? Finding out that my car was stolen at some point in time in history, I'm like, you fucking really? Like, the guy just didn't want to buy it, you know what I mean? He's just like, come up with an excuse, I guess your car lot, and then he lied to me and said, well, we looked it up. It looks like it's been totaled out, repaired. I looked at the thing, and it's like minor damage on like the driver's side car door or whatever. You know, like not a thing on the insurance claim. And then I got the title, a copy of the title, and there's no under the remarks. There's nothing like salvage title or recovered from blah blah blah. So the guy was just like, I just don't want you. Like, okay, whatever. What a fair system then, right? So I'll find someone to buy the thing, hopefully, and I've got like a little bit of runway to do it with, and when if I get that sold, then I've got like I can really plan and like kind of just make things a lot easier on myself, at least for a few more months after that, and then I should be good, hopefully. I just don't want to get too close to the wire, and I don't get like particularly attached to things. Just having to like move is something that I don't do. Period. You know what I mean? I say that like, oh, like if I had a choice, you know what I mean though. Like I don't voluntarily just get up and like move unless I have to do the shit. Um, so like unless I'm being vacated from my own home, then I have no real reason to like get up and move. Yeah, but the thing I mentioned earlier, like the breakthrough Google had with whatever their vector mapping, whatever dad words they use there at Google or whatever, like the thing is like reduce the amount of RAM required by 75% to do something. You're like, well, it stands to reason at some point in time that there'll be some sort of breakthrough in another thing. Like what does that do? Effectively shoes up like 3/4 of a system resource that you could use elsewhere. You're like, yeah, that's hopefully. I say hopefully, but I'm not saying for 100% sure uh, that there won't be something like that that happens in the future, and then suddenly we've got an excess of compute and not enough training data. You know what I mean? That's kind of the whether or not that's reality, I don't know, but I feel like that's a definite possibility. And if that's the case, then this is like an oil refining mechanism, or like treat it like an oil refinery. Then, right? That at some point in time we have to come up with what system does and doesn't work best for harvesting and like processing and pruning and refining and using uh, uh, data to train AI, right? It's like a basically an untapped well at some point in time. And it's like, okay, well, if you can do that more efficiently, or if you come up with a system that's easy for everybody to use or intuitive, then you're pretty much finding out a way to basically entitle yourself to this big pool of fucking internet oil. You know what I mean? A refinable asset. If you just have to come up with the cheapest or the most intuitive way for everybody to use the thing, right? It's like an untapped resource as valuable as oil. So it's a good idea if you can come up with a way to do it. Then fuck, fuck. I might just blow myself to pieces anyway. You fucking kidding me? Forgot he spell reflected. World 2 Shadow Wrath. Oh, yeah. The thing is, like, training data, I guess, depending on what it is, being unbiased is probably super helpful. And how do you create an unbiased system of gathering training data where it's like an experiment, you know what I mean? Like, if you want the most unbiased kind of training data possible, then how do you like, you know what I mean? It's like, are you sure you're not changing the way that you navigate your web browser because, you know, and you're like, well, yeah, like, I'm sure I'm not. It's like, well, you might not even know you're doing it. You know what I mean? So what's better? The PvP staff, season 1. Season 2 weapon, I remember, I think looks like the Nexus key, doesn't it, with a different color? It's got balls on the end of it. These are getting a little more expensive again. Anyway, what time is it? I'm gonna log off probably before raid and do some things and then Log back on in about an hour and a half. I gotta eat before and start my next few meals. Some chicken and stir fry. That's all I eat. Chicken and rice and vegetables. And then I had eggs and tuna for breakfast. Got some bananas to eat before they go rotten rather. I said mix between ripe and rotten. Rotten. Let's see here. Well, we can fuck with that later. My head's like floating off the screen.